Hello everyone, welcome to the table, and I thought I would go over this. Just came in. This was an email. It had the core rules for World of War 85, and that Kickstarter is on the way, and I'm hoping soon, because I would really like to get in there and start playing. And I thought, well shoot, why don't we take a look at the rule book since they're here, and yeah, I'm just pretty excited about this. So it's rule set version 2.0. I don't know if that means like over the core rules for like the nations at war kind of stuff. But anyway, just super excited. And it looks like this will be a pretty big book. I don't know if this will be spiral bound when we get the physical book or, you know, regular bound. I hope it's spiral because that's nice the way those lay flat. But there we had the cover page, the little copyright page, and here we got the table of contents. Now I'm looking at this for the first time with all of you. I thought, hey, why don't we just kind of peek at this together, kind of see what we have here. What I like is it looks like they're back to their color coding of things to help you find information. I thought that was always cool. General concepts talks about scale, time scale, player aids and tracks. So this is just the book. Probably no player aids attached to it, but we'll see when we get to the end if there's anything cool to look at. Information about, I just saw there, the formation cards. Yeah, it was cool if I remember for the cards that they're putting together, they have rules too that you could play in miniature scale. So not only can you play the game on the board with the pieces, but then you're going to have information for, I believe they had like the 6mm scale for micro armor and 15mm and 20. I don't know if they had out to 28, but there was going to be like several scales on the cards. And I thought that was very cool that they also included that option to do miniatures, because I've tried to do that before with other games, play them in mini. So that'll be neat to see what information all comes on the formation card. So anyway, there's a sequence of play, then the end operations card, close air support card, an electronic warfare card, battlefield event friction card, your formation card. Guess that's a little different than up here. Maybe it's in depth there. Actions, movement and action, movement, direct fire action. There's a lot of stuff in here. If I remember from the first World at War rules I saw a long time ago, they were also, you know, kind of concise, but that always leads to a lot of questions that people have. So this looks very, very in-depth. So it doesn't mean it's complicated, but I like the fact that it's got, you know, a lot of stuff in here to help clear up, you know, questions and things. It looks like they've put a lot of time in here really fleshing this out. So it'd be nice to get this and start putting it out there on the table just to see how the rules run. Move and fire action, onboard indirect fire action, assault action. Now I didn't look, but usually they got a thing where if a rule is in blue, that's like a new rule. I don't see that on here. But usually if it's like blue, there's a lot of stuff here blue, that's usually like new or it's updated. But I didn't see a call out for color codes on that. But then assault action, the indirect fire, designated formation card, other series rules. Because that is one thing that they do, is they have like your core rules, and then every box or expansion usually has rules specific for that. So here's some rules, I guess, that are all encompassing that you might see. Parachute drops. Then this is very cool. The battle generator is built into the rules. So it looks like in general though, the rules are going to come in at about 79 pages as it goes out to designated formation card. Then there's the other series rules. So as far as like just base rules, maybe about 79 pages, and then out to 87 if you include everything. And then the battle generator is, you know, kind of its own thing, and that looks like it's maybe 6 pages or so. So it goes from page 88 to 94. And then of course resources there. Oh, and it does, look at the very back, it says here starter kit. So that's cool. Just like the other big rule book you had for lock and load tactical, they had all the components that you could like photocopy and print out stuff just to try it for yourself. So I don't know if, I'm pretty sure that almost means that this rulebook is probably going to be for sale by itself separately, or possibly maybe a free download. I'm not sure. And so, well, if they're, I know they probably sent this out to Kickstarter backers, so maybe this isn't necessarily free or going to be free, but Right now I have the PDF because it's a Kickstarter backer that they sent out. So who knows? Maybe they'll get the rules for free and out on their website, and then you can get the starter kit, print some stuff out, and try playing the game for yourself. Which, interestingly enough, no, I'm not going to do that. I almost thought, yeah, why don't I do that? And I was like, no, I'll just wait. Because the game itself should be coming soon. Someone asked me if I got this on the Kickstarter. Yes, so I did get this on the Kickstarter, so I'm waiting like everyone else. But since I'm not a choice reviewer, I'm not getting things sent, so I'm going to have to wait just like everyone else. So by the time I get the game and can share my thoughts on it, a lot of other people probably would have posted their thoughts. But I'm still very, very much looking forward to this because it was an amazing amount of stuff that you got in the Kickstarter. Oh, hold on. Yeah. Just watched the Army-Navy game, and Army didn't quite do as well as I was hoping. But here, now one thing I noticed too, and I like this, is just off this sample counter, is it looks like the artwork for the tanks and stuff looks a little bit bigger. It looks like the information fills the counter better. With the Nations at War, just from what I remember, I always felt like the information on was kind of small and the artwork was kind of small, so it felt like there was a lot of unused space if they had just enlarged stuff. But looking at this, it feels like the information and the artwork fills the counter so much better. So I'm very thankful for that. And the artwork looks like it'll be great. But there's all your standard information. So trying to remember, yeah, there it is. So like you got your range, and then the firepower, which is like how many dice you roll, and then the 5 is what you need to score a hit, and then there's your defense there. Now that's your high explosive one. Here's the, which one is arm? Armor is right down here. So you roll 3 dice and you save on 6s. So very simple game, and all your information, well, pretty much the important stuff is like right there on the counter, and that's always very cool. It's a lot of numbers, but it's nice that it's all right there. I think it's fine. And if it's as easy to read in person as it looks like it is here, I think that'll be great. So here's a lot of sample counters and information. And again, all the information here, talking about the different types of colors on the movement. So there's an amphibious ground transport. So some of this will start to look like a lot of overload because this is going to have like 2 colors for amphibious ground transport. It's like half blue, half green, solid green, non-amphibious ground transport, has enhanced fire and move action. Oh, because the color code's there, orange AP. So, okay, going to be a lot of information, but the counters still look really good. I like that. Okay, here's the unit cards, looks like. Sample of a card there, formation card. Okay, cool. Just going through, it's a lot just to kind of flip through. I'm not going to read everything to you, but again, a lot of counter references. So there's a lot of admin counters to this as well. Going to be quite a bit of counters you can put out on the board. Great. Different types of, it says HE, but it's like, okay, well you got different types of HE possibly. Because this says number of arty strike, firepower, dice strength, the colors probably, fire, mud, rubble, okay, very cool. In tunnels, in tunnel, upper level of a tunnel. And then so that's like 11 pages of introduction and explaining what, different counters look like. Then page 12 looks like it actually starts the rules. And then that's where we get to see the color code explanation. So game concepts that are completely new and smaller subsections or concepts which are new or which have been significantly rewritten will be in blue. Okay. Yellow, important notes, exceptions, clarifications, etc. will always have this yellow-orange background, and most importantly will have the full force of the rules. Then examples of play will be in a gray box, and design notes will be italicized and not in a light gray box. Design notes are not rules of the game, but are inserted to enhance your understanding of why things are the way they are. That's great, and I love when designers can include some behind the scenes, like why. Because a lot of times I see those questions asked on Board Game Geek, and the designer it can come and answer that, and I think that's cool. But to see that in the rulebook is kind of nice too, because sometimes that leads to, oh, okay. I don't know. I always like that kind of stuff. 7 types of cards are detailed. I'm just reading that standout note. But anyway, you just start reading. Here's a nice big design note. Be undaunted by the it says, be undaunted by the number of pages you may see in these rules. This is a moderate complexity game, no more, with simple concepts that have been streamlined for playability, but first and foremost, it can take more to explain a rule on paper than in person. Oh, I guess I should have plugged this in. And that's absolutely true. And I see that, with a lot of games, is especially with the lock and load. Now, the games themselves, I don't think have been overly complex. Like, for example, with Lock and Load Tactical, yes, you have that one huge rule book. I cannot get this thing to stand still. Come here. Stand. I'm trying to plug this into the, anyway, power strip. But, yeah, that's like a huge rule book for Lock and Load Tactical, but the rules themselves take up like half of the book. And then another portion of the book is dedicated to, like the little quick start thing. It's got, a bunch of information on charts, a huge example of play. So again, don't let the size of the rule book scare you. Just pop in and start playing. One of the things I do when learning a new game is fortunately, this concepts in here are fairly familiar because I've played like the Nations at War. I got Desert Heat, so some of that familiarity there. So it's just a matter of going back and just start simple, like just start and read how to move stuff, and then just read how to do basic shooting. And if you can move and shoot, you technically could play a game with that. And then just as you want to add components to it, then just add it. I know a lot of people that will read the entire rule book and then they will want to include everything when they first start out, and then they get then they get daunted, then they feel lost, like, oh, this is just so much. It can be, but just start real simple is probably the best advice I have. Don't make it more complicated. Unit scale, let's see here, player aids. Alright, well, I'm going to turn that off because I'm tired of listening about yes, I know Army lost. Thank you all. Alright, we're done with that. Here we go. Some more. Looks like just more information on the cards, counters, markers. Alright, cool. So lots of information there backing it up. That's nice. So these cards here are not the ones I was thinking of with the information about miniature play. So it looks like these are specifically formation cards to tell you like what composes a particular formation. So that's a lot different than what I first thought. Units and card values. Alright, gets into deeper explanation. See, that's the thing, is at some point this just really gets into deep explanations of the different components and the numbers. And I think that's a difference between like when the game first came out and what you see now is just over time, you just include a lot more of those explanations that people have asked over the years, and then you have to give separately. But if you just include a lot of that detail in the book, hopefully you can find what you need in the book. You don't have to feel like you've got to go elsewhere. So that makes the game feel more complicated than it really is. So again, just more explanation of the to hit numbers, it looks like, your range values. So that's fine. That's like quick reading. You just read through that and it's just in more in-depth explanation. So I'm fine with that. Helicopter, what is that? MTU 55 deployed. Oh, bridge. Alright, cool. Assault numbers and values. Yeah, so this is great. Special ability triangle charts. Alright, so they got triangles on here. No problem there. Leader values. Yeah, easy. So again, you're looking at like 14 pages of in-depth explanation as to what a lot of the values mean. And then once we hit section 2, sequence of play, now we're going to start talking about how to put those values into action. So your initiative. Some scenarios of formation may activate before the operations phase. Sure, in some scenarios, Looks like a bunch of new rules here for turn 1. Yeah, this is, well, I haven't read it yet, right? We're just going over this. I'm not going to read everything here in front of you. You guys can read this when it's available for yourself too. And then when you play, we'll explain some of this in playthroughs. But I don't think it's changed. The operation phase and begins by drawing the top card. Oh, this is going to be a little different. Okay, so the way the game system used to be, it looks like it might be a little bit different now. So now those formation cards are actually going to be part of the gameplay, it looks like. Just read that first sentence. Draw the top card of the formation deck, which will have been placed in the formation card box on player aid spot upon setting up the game. Resolve each formation activation or other activation before drawing the next card. Each time an activation or event is fully resolved, a new card is drawn until the second end of operation. So it used to be you had counters that you could put into a cup and then randomly draw the counter, and that would tell you which unit we're activating. Now it looks like we're going to do that with a deck of cards. So I think what's kind of cool about that is, for me, just as a visual representation, again, just guessing because I haven't seen it yet, is the way the system worked was after you drew, like here it said the second end of turn counter, anything that was left in the cup, you would basically put like you would put everything back into the cup except like one end of turn counter or chit marker, and then once the 2 units that hadn't been drawn from the previous turn were activated, you would throw that other second end of turn counter back in the cup and then play. And so the idea was that at least back to back, units that didn't play in the previous turn could play, but tracking it with counters kind of seemed like it was just, I don't know, it worked and it's kind of clunky, but I think with the cards it will be easier to track over time that information. I don't know, I'm just speaking out loud, but I'm kind of intrigued by the fact that this uses cards to track the activation for a turn versus the counters in a cup. I know some people will probably prefer counters in a cup, but the idea of the deck of cards, I think, is going to make it easier for me to track. The deck will always include the formation cards for the formations in a scenario and at least 2 end operations card. The deck may also include the following cards: so designated formations, scratch forces, close air support. Yeah, well, once we get the cards, I'll show you how I think this is going to play out, because I haven't got that far yet. It just says draw. I haven't read anything yet about what you do when you hit that second end of turn card here. That I'm skipping through, so I might not see that. There's the end operations card. There are usually 2 end operations cards in the deck, though some scenarios will call for 3. When the second end of operations card is drawn, the operations phase ends and play enters the marker removal phase. So if there are 3 end of operations cards in the formation deck, the second end operations card signifies that ops phase is over. So we'll have to go look at the marker removal phase here and just see how it wraps up. Then you got close air support card, electronic warfare card, how to play that if it's in your deck, battlefield event friction card if it's in the deck. See, yeah, it's right now it just looks like it's mostly replacing your counter, the little marker draw, with a deck of cards, and I'm fine with that. I've gotten so used to playing games with cards that that's not even a concern. I know some people will probably would still like the marker draw, the chit pull from a cup, which I don't see why you couldn't make your own if you really wanted to go back to that. I haven't looked at the counter mixture to see if they have alternatively the counters, but it looks like the rules are designed around the cards. But you could easily just do your own counters if you prefer that too. Formation cards, refresh, command step, just flipping through here. Command range of your cards. So your card, it also looks like, which I think is kind of cool, your card has the information on there to activate that unit in the first place. So that's kind of neat too. And then it gets into command. Unit's always in command. Okay, missile reload step. See, and then again, kind of going back to the idea of like it's too many rules or overcomplicated. You don't have to use stuff if you're not using it. If you're just playing a game with tanks and they don't have missiles, then don't worry about the missile reload step. Once you decide you want missiles, read the missile reload part, you know. And then you get into actions, movement. Those are the subsections that are going to be covered. Movement and action and movement, all right. Terrain, there's the movement. Yeah, this is something, contour lines on maps I always struggle with because I usually forget that they're there. It's so easy for me to overlook that. You know, it just, yeah, unless it's like really clearly defined. And then when you start getting into, we have so many different levels to see, you know, with the blind spot of hexes behind stuff. So I already got, I got to make sure I track that here. Hopefully it's not overly complicated. Ground and amphibious movement, towed. So again, nice large sections on movement. Again, if you're not using helicopters, don't have to worry about flying. Don't need to worry about the Napa Earth. Things you can come back to and add in as you need it. Hovering, landed. Transport units and passengers, which is always seems to be overly complicated in some games. So we'll get back at some point and read that. But again, if you're not using transport units in your first game, you don't have to read that. Oh, helicopters can transport. Combat liftoff. Direct fire. That's where the magic happens right there. Checking your line of sight. Never one block. I didn't read that to see what they're talking about. But we'll just kind of flip through. But see, again, it looks like lots of examples and really trying to explain those specific rules. And that's a good thing, actually. Very good. And a lot of graphical representations and charts to help you with that. So that's wonderful. Got some more on it there. Okay. Again, like we said, we're just kind of flipping through, see what we got here. I just see a headquarter command bonus. ATG, your anti-tank guided missile minimum ranges, point blank range, long range. Okay, cool. Maximum defensive bonus. Combat results. So again, something that probably was explained originally, like in maybe a couple of pages, they now have really beefed up to help really cover all your situations. I think that's great. Wrecks and disruption. Rubble clearing. Missile ammo checks. Opportunity fire. Gotta have opportunity fire. Move and fire. Not everybody can. But at least that is, you know, one page, and it looks like they got a nice little chart to explain who and how each unit can do it that's capable. Onboard indirect fire action. There's the assault. Assault modifiers. Indirect fire. Got your arty, your spotters. Strike types. Nice. High explosive smoke screens, delivered mines, your fast cam, field artillery, scatterable mines, MLRS. Very cool. Let's see if they have a Miklik. Do they have a Miklik? That's how we pronounced it. So when I was an engineer, we had for clearing mines, because I'm looking here, there's a minefield here, your field delivered mines, and there's probably mines here, but we had something called a Miklik. You could look it up, M-I-C-L-I-C, and basically it was, I've seen different versions, but what we had was towed in a trailer behind like our M113, and we would get to the edge of a suspected minefield, and a rocket would shoot out, and attached to the rocket was this really long line of C4 plastic explosives. And so the rocket would fire out and lay this line of C4 down a path along this minefield, and then you would detonate it. And the idea was to blow away all the obstacles, and then you just drive on through. So I've not seen that in any war game. I might not see it here. That because this, I had that in 94, 95 maybe is when I got to use them. We actually detonated some. So this might be, you know, and I don't know when those were available in relation to this, but I just had a thought. I was like, you know what? I have not seen Miclics as a mine clearing option in any kind of modernish war game. So that might be, this game might be before then. So there's some more of your artillery delivered mines. No Miclic mentioned. Chemicals. All right, then we're moving into the other series rules. So really, we pop in there at about page 79. So again, looks like a lot of information, but you really only need to focus on a few things probably to start your gameplay, and that's what I'll do. A lot of times, you know, that's how games build up, is they start simple, then they introduce new ideas. But what's cool about this is we saw that there's a battle scenario generator. So even if the first game includes things that you're not ready to introduce, you can just make your own scenario of some tanks versus tanks, tank platoons, and start slowly building up your knowledge from there. And that's probably what I'm going to do. I might not start with the very first scenario because I haven't seen it yet, but I might start with a few tanks on a map and just start pushing those platoons around to get an idea for movement, line of sight, firing, things like that, and then slowly add in the components that interest me. Other series rules, okay, the improved positions, your minefields, minefield depletion, engineering. For completeness, we here repeat 10.9.9, clearing rubble hexes. This is to allow for one-stop shopping of the core rules, engineering functions. Alright, additional engineering functions may be introduced in specific modules, but these cover the essentials in World of War 85. Yeah, I'm sure the Miclic probably came out way after 85. Oh, well, but there's your engineers. That's me. Breaching the minefields. So it doesn't say how they breach the minefield, just says they breach. So, okay, that's fine. Take what you get. Bridge laying units. That was always fun. We had an M60 with the turret pretty much removed. And that was very cool to watch that go out. And it was kind of, probably can't, but it was like just kind of cool to watch it unfold and lay out. But I never drove that. The unit that I was in, we had... I was a 12 Bravo, and I did just mostly the demo work, and then we had one platoon of 12 Foxes, and they drove all the vehicles. So they had CEV, Combat Engineer Vehicle, which was basically, again, a modified M60, but it had a howitzer for the main cannon that was supposed to be used to knock down buildings and things like that. We had a bridge layer. We had an M9 Ace. You can look that up. That was a fancy armored bulldozer. So we had some pretty cool stuff. But the bridge layer, we didn't like to use that because it broke down a lot. So, you know, use it when you have to, but if you can, just let it sit around, because the hydraulic system on that thing was a real pain. At least for, maybe it was just our vehicle that we had. It was old, and so who knows. But nobody liked, they liked driving it and deploying it. They just didn't like to have to fix it. So that, side note, just for fun, our mechanics and the 12 Fox platoon were some of the most overworked people I ever encountered, because they were always in the motor pool. I was very thankful that I was a 12 Bravo, because we had our track, our M113A2s to maintain, and that was it. And when you got like a whole squad of folks to help on one vehicle, whereas the 12 Fox, it was the driver and the mechanics. They had it rough. Let's see here. Bridge and ford markers. Nighttime rules. Assaults at night. Yeah. Lots of great stuff. See, I'm very impressed. They have a lot of things that I initially would not have thought of, but it's cool to see them in here. And then finally, boom, Battle Generator. I would have liked to have seen a nice big intro title there, but here's the Battle Generator. Choose your scenario size. Get your objectives. Yeah, this is very cool. Turn length. See, I got a Battle Generator thing for Lock and Load Tactical, and I don't remember if that was free or if you had to pay for it. So the fact that this is included in the rules, that's a very cool right there. Keep flipping here, set up your scenario. Alright, setting up your scenario. How to do that. Create your order of battle. I like that. Just really good. I love the I think they got amazing graphics. I've always enjoyed their graphics. Series resources. Yeah, so the rule came in an email for backers, and it said, here's the rulebook. It had like an EPUB version. They also have someone, I'm going to download it just because I'm curious what it's like, but they have a audio version of the rules. So they had like an MP3 version, and that intrigues me. I thought that was very cool. I've always wanted to do that. Video boot camp. I don't know. I didn't look to see who put it together. I know they had like Gimpy Gamer did like a whole bunch of stuff for Lock and Load Tactical, so I wouldn't be surprised if he's putting together a bunch of stuff here as well. But I haven't looked yet to see who did the video tutorial playlist. So I'll probably do my own just out of because I want to, because I like to do that kind of stuff. Just to see if that's of any use to folks. Not that I'm going to copy what he's. I'm just saying I make my own videos for things because I learn differently. Notes, and then here we go. Your glossary, abbreviations. Wow, look, I'm at page 101 and I still have a whole bunch to go through. Acknowledgements, design and development notes. Again, fun things to read. Fun things for me. Written in December of 2028. What if that? This is a game from the future. So what you're looking at is the pinnacle of wargaming 8 years from now. So, well, 8 years from December, almost 2020. So close enough to 8 years. Well, yeah, close enough. I'm pretty sure that was supposed to be 2018. Well, I don't know. Maybe it's supposed to be. I don't know. But 2028 seems a little early. All right, and then your index. Oh, that's great. I really appreciate a very thorough index. I'm sure a lot of you guys prefer a very thorough index. So I appreciate whoever put that together. Thank you all. And still scrolling, and still have quite a few pages to look through. So what else do we have here? Here's the starter kit. A Matter of Bridges. Cool. Got a little. I'm excited. Like, I'm truly excited right now. So here's a starter kit scenario. Here's your forces involved. Got a headquarters, 2 infantry, 2 M113s, 1 Abrams M106, probably a mortar on the back of a 113. You got a little tow Jeep. Dang, it's not a Hummer. It looks like an actual Jeep. I was hoping we had Humvees by then. 1 Dragon ATGM and a tow. Alright, cool. And then your Soviet forces, 2 Sagers, 3 T-62. These are platoons, by the way. Then 6 BMP-1 platoons. Holy cow, 6 infantry. So they got to hold on. This looks like it's really going on the idea of superior Allied technology and superiority of numbers on the Soviet setup side. So I've always wondered if that's actually how things play out, I know a lot of people talk about the Gulf War and they say, yeah, that's how it played out. The superior technology clearly beat out the numerical superiority of the Soviet technology. But then there's always the debate of, well, but it wasn't crewed by Soviet soldiers, and it wasn't those were export versions of things, and so a lot of people say that it was easy to defeat. So I don't know. I'd be very curious to see if that's how true that statement is. How much more is the technological superiority the advantage here? So this is a great little scenario to start out with. Now, like I said though, if you're going to play it just like this, then you're going to have to read, looks like, some rules on your missiles, because you got a lot here with the ATGM systems. So you could probably start with a modified version of this and just take the tanks and maybe the BMPs, but you'd be losing a lot of firepower on the American side. So, but you gotta start somewhere. So it looks like a nice little starter mission there. Play area, your objectives. Here's the map, or at least the map setup. There's the bottom piece. I don't know if those are, I guess these are the ones that you can print. Yep, because that's the top piece left. I'm sure that's what these are. These are what you're going to print and put together. Yeah, that must be. So a few pages for you to print out so you can make your play area. And then here come the counters. I think that's the back. No, it says the front. There's the front of the counters. And there's the back. So you could print this Stick it to some very thin cardboard, make your own counters, give them some durability. Turn record track, and your cards. Awesome. I think that would be great. Terrain effects card. Again, this is all starter stuff for the little starter kit they've included. I think that's fantastic. I still think that's brilliant. I think that's so good to have that included in the rules, and you can just print that off or photocopy it. And then, you know, even if you don't plunge full into the game, at least you have a very good idea of how things play. Then here's all the design credits for the game, and here's the series. And the Kickstarter is including a lot of this, so I don't even remember what all it gets, but the Kickstarter was huge, so I'm very excited to get, you know, and see exactly what expansions I have here. And then some of the other stuff, Nations at War. But I have Desert Heat. I really need to get White Star Rising. Well, and Stalin's Triumph. But lately, previously I've always been a big East Front. Lately I'm changing towards kind of a West Front. So I had Desert Heat, but that's why I'm like, yeah, I should probably look into getting White Star to play and show y'all. Then the Solo Assistant. Oh, there's a Solo Assistant for Nations at War. And I don't remember if that was part of the Kickstarter. If it is, cool. Great. Would love to try that out. What else is there? Then, of course, your modern day lock and load tactical. So that is the difference between the two systems, is this is at the squad level, individual tanks. And then this game is your platoon level. So you just pull the camera back a little bit. And depending on your level of interest and maybe your level of expertise, either game is fun to play. Although I have had people say to me that they think platoon level sometimes is a little bit easier to get into because it's a little more abstracted, because you're not overly concerned about, you know, like with the squad level, you have to worry about, can I carry this machine gun? You know, the crew's operating this. It gets, you know, very zoomed in and kind of micromanagey. Whereas with the platoon level, you're not worried about, does that machine gun jam or things like that. You're not worried about the exact penetration value of this particular caliber of gun versus this type of armor. You're still worried about how well you can hit, but it's just abstracted a little bit. So some people prefer starting out with platoon level games, and then, you know, they can dive in deeper. Fortunately, I think both systems are very customizable to your experience level. So if you want to pop in at the tactical because that interests you, kind of that micromanaged level, this is still a pretty good option to start with, because again, it's only as complicated as you want it to be. You know, just start out with simple movement, start out with simple combat, and just introduce the complexity that you need. And it looks like it's going to be the same way here. Start out, just learn by moving some vehicles around, and then basic shooting, and then add elements as you want. And then what we got? And that's it. That's the back of the book. So it says here, the complexity is the middle of the road, and then it's got solitary playability. It looks like it's rated pretty high for solitary playability, especially if you have the cards, but the solo system. But in general, I have been able to kind of solo play everything. I think, you know, it really depends on what you're looking for in solo play, just to touch on that even. A lot of times people don't like to play both sides. They want to focus all their decision making on, you know, one force, and then have some kind of AI that completely drives the other team, so that you don't have to spend brain power on that. You just play your cards or whatever. And I think that's completely valid, because when I play solo and I have to play both sides, sometimes it's hard for me to root for someone, or just out of bias, I'm like, yeah, well, of course I want these guys to win, so I put my effort there, and then the opponent, if you will, I just kind of don't give, you know, it just really depends on the mood. So these games have always been solo friendly in terms of it's easy to play both sides. And with the solo system, I think that'll just make it even easier to get into. So it's cool to see that that's rated high, because yeah, their games are very solo friendly. Not much. There was spotting. This I didn't see anything about spotting units. With the tactical, the squad level version, you did have to worry about spotting units and hidden units, and that did kind of ruined part of the solo element of that. That was like took that element out of the game, and that's a big part of when you do face to face. So I don't know. I think this would be really good to play solo play, but they've got a nice AI system again, so you don't have to use a lot of your brain power to both armies. Just focus play that you want on this one, and then let the cards drive the AI. So I think that's fine. And if we do get that with the Kickstarter, that'll be very cool to see in action. Well, anyway, there's enough of me blathering on about that. Thank you for taking a look at the rule book. Like I said, keep an eye on the website and see if the rules are going to be available for everyone to go through, and you can get a head start on reading this before the physical copies arrive, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start reading ahead, and again, just hitting those key elements I need at first: movement and firing, and then from there spread out to extra items that you need, and that's about it. Yep, I could go all the way backwards, but you kind of saw it all going forward, so we'll stop right there. Anyway, you know, did you get this on Kickstarter? Are you gonna get it post Kickstarter? What are your thoughts? Are you excited? I'm pretty excited. I'm actually just excited because the sheer amount of stuff coming is gonna give it an unheard of amount of gameplay. The tactical system that I have, like, there's a huge amount of gameplay, and with the scenario generator, like unlimited amount of gameplay. So I think if this is a system that people like to watch played, I'll probably be playing this one quite a bit. So I look forward to it. Anyway, thanks for tuning in. We'll talk to you later. Bye.